Welcome into the PFF NFL Daily. Today discussing new coaching hires, Sam. It's full off-season mode. We've got a few of the coaching hires already filled. So I want to know which one's your favorite so far. We got 4 jobs filled and a bunch left to go. We'll see a lot more names drop this week.
I guess the favorite is probably Nathaniel Hackett in Denver on the basis that, look, I think that Vic Fangio kind of got screwed a little bit, a defensive head coach being essentially made to carry the can for the fact that they never gave him a quarterback and they never had any real shot of winning in a league that is demanding now of high-end quarterback play. So their solution to that appears to be to hire one of the few guys that Aaron Rodgers doesn't hate. let's see if we can woo Aaron Rodgers in this offseason. So I'm a big fan of that. Let's bring in one of the guys that can, cast out that line and reel in an Aaron Rodgers, and let's see how that goes.
So that's the biggest intrigue there, the fact that for 2 years they might get Aaron Rodgers over there in Denver.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what they need, right? If the Denver Broncos can't find an Aaron Rodgers in a division with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert and probably Derek Carr, like, they're screwed.
Yeah, I'm interested in that same division with Josh McDaniels going to the Raiders. And I've heard your Josh McDaniels takes before, Sam. You're just going to go back and make fun of his 2009 and 2010 tenure with the Broncos. But I think McDaniels, he's had a decade to learn from his mistakes, and I think he's going to do a good job with the Raiders. Josh McDaniels has been a hot name as a head coach for 7 or 8 years now, right? He's been getting back on track. Obviously, I think with any of these guys, you have to be careful when I think a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers is probably the key to these guys. Some of these guys getting jobs, Hackett in this case, maybe McDaniels in his case. But I do think the fact that he has slow played his way back into the head coaching gig makes me think maybe he's not going to make the same mistakes in Denver, which included going all in on Tim Tebow as a first-round quarterback.
Yeah, and that's quite a large mistake when you put it in the general context.
He will never draft an oversized fullback to play quarterback in the first round again. I can guarantee that.
This is like, when a kid does something terrible, and it's like, now go to your room and think about the mistake that you've just made. Think long and hard about what you've done. That's essentially what McDaniels has been doing in the last decade, is what you're saying. They send him back to New England to think about what he did.
But it's like telling a 7-year-old, and then he doesn't come out of his room till he's 17. So he's had a lot of time to think about it. So I think McDaniels will do a good job. He's still a very good play caller, and I think he'll be able to apply that to the new job.
But also, like, the biggest thing there may be that he's not all in charge. They brought him in with the GM. There's somebody that has personnel control. So McDaniels can't walk in there and immediately torpedo the entire roster based off what he thinks on a personnel standpoint, right? We're going to ship off the quarterback. We're going to get rid of the number 1 receiver. We're going to draft the fullback in the first round and ask him to play quarterback. All these kinds of things. Like, he can't do that anymore. That's somebody else's call. All he can do is like throw his 2 cents into the bargain, and that will presumably be ignored for, the guy whose job that is. But yeah, we should see what Josh McDaniels, the head coach, can do, as opposed to Josh McDaniels, the personnel guy and head coach, because that definitely didn't work very well in Denver. So I am interested to see, because as with almost anybody coming out of that New England system, there's unknown as to how much they were doing, right, versus anybody else involved. How much was Tom Brady? How much was Bill Belichick? How much was the environment generally? We've answered a little bit of that since Brady has left town, and McDaniels has been trying to get it done with Cam Newton and Mac Jones. I would say to kind of mixed reviews. It's not like those offenses have been lighting the world on fire with either of those 2 quarterbacks, even if Mac Jones played pretty well. Now we'll get an idea, right? Can he take that system, bring it somewhere else, and get a good quarterback in Derek Carr playing to, some kind of really, really impressive level?
I want to get to some of the other hires too, but first, the moment we've been waiting for since September. It's finally here in honor of the big game. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56, is giving new customers 56-1 odds on either team. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in New York, meaning you can bet from almost a third of the country. If Sportsbook isn't yet available in your state, play DraftKings Daily Fantasy Football Contest for Super Bowl 56. New customers can get a free shot at a $1 million top prize with their first deposit. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PFF and get 56-1 odds on either team. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. It's promo code PFF at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56. Got to be 21 or older. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for a full list of requirements and state-specific responsible gaming resources. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Tennessee. Call or text the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENNY, HOPENY, or text HOPENNY 467-369.
There's a lot of new numbers now.
It's a lot of new stuff we got going on with DraftKings Sportsbook. More than I thought. Let's go to the Giants. They got Brian Daboll. Here's what I'm fascinated by with Daboll. So I know we asked, what's our favorite? My favorite, I'm going to say, is McDaniels going to the Raiders. I'll go out on that one. But I think Daboll, different from McDaniels and Hackett, who, there's always that Brady, Rodgers residual. How much did Brian Daboll really help the development of Josh Allen? A guy who we saw enter the NFL with that, what'd you call him? The bag of tools and all that stuff. He was the
IKEA quarterback.
The IKEA quarterback, right? Brian Daboll put Josh Allen together.
Without the instructions.
And now Josh Allen is a superstar, and I signed an apology letter and all that stuff. So Daboll is fascinating with the Giants.
Yeah, he really is. And that's a great example, right? Because I think generally Brian Daboll has taken a lot of the credit for Josh Allen and the development. And even, this is an interesting one where you can actually look at mechanical differences in his throwing motion from Wyoming to now, and it's tighter and it's in better shape. And generally speaking, that's presumably part of why his accuracy has improved and his overall quarterback play across the board. But how much of that was Brian Daboll versus, individual coaches working with him on the side and all these kinds of things? That is going to be fascinating to watch, because you now go to the New York Giants with Daniel Jones, who was similar to Josh Allen in terms of a toolsy type of quarterback who we considered overdrafted at the time, right? Number 6 overall seemed really rich for him. I think generally he's been more impressive than I expected him to be. But then that kind of derailed itself this year. But he actually, I think, has better fundamental mechanics than Josh Allen did when he came into the NFL. It's the other stuff that's kind of fallen by the wayside, like his, presence in the pocket, his ability to feel pressure and understand, okay, this is collapsing now, get the hell rid of the ball or eat it. Don't fumble it away. That's where things start to get rough. And all those big plays, the Danny Dimes stuff, just completely evaporated this year. So yeah, Brian Daboll's impact on Daniel Jones will be a really fascinating thing to watch.
Or after what you saw with him and Josh Allen, are you likely to take a shot on, say, Malik Willis and say, here, Brian, take this IKEA quarterback and put him together? Because, boy, does Malik Willis have that similar arm, explosive rushing ability. And that's the other thing that Daboll did with maybe that he shouldn't bring over from the Bills, is how much they ran Josh Allen. They were probably doing that too much with Daniel Jones already.
Yeah.
But that would be fascinating to see him with maybe a Malik Willis.
But they were, the old Giants were deploying him a lot like that in a weird, Daniel Jones. I mean, he's athletically, he actually might have the tools for it, but he doesn't seem to have, he's not built like Josh Allen. No. Daniel Jones throwing himself into a linebacker has a much higher degree chance of wrecking Daniel Jones than it does wrecking Josh Allen with the same kind of collision. So yeah, that part, maybe there needs to be some kind of discussion as to exactly what types of run we are going to endeavor with to have with Daniel Jones at quarterback.
All right, so it's still early. There's still a lot of jobs out there. So final answer, Sam, your favorite is Nathaniel Hackett to the Broncos? Yeah,
as long as it succeeds in wooing over Aaron Rodgers. Otherwise I'm less enamored by it.
All right, so I'm torn between Daboll and McDaniels. I'll go with McDaniels with the Raiders because the kid's learned his lesson 10 years later.
He's had 10 years to think about what he's done.
But I'm interested to see if he sticks with Derek Carr. Does he look around the landscape of the NFL and say, yep, Derek Carr's the guy I'm going to build around, or I want somebody new? But I'll go with McDaniels in Las Vegas. Let us know, which coaching hire do you like the best? The PFF